August 8th, 1963. England. Deep night. A postal train departs from Glasgow to London exactly on schedule. No passengers, no guards. Inside the cars are dozens of postal workers simply doing their daily job, and sacks of money that officially are no longer supposed to exist. Within minutes, this train will be stopped. No gunshots, no explosions, only a signal the driver has trusted his entire life. This is how the crime that would go down in history as the Great Train Robbery begins.
In the early 1960s, the United Kingdom followed a standard procedure. Worn banknotes from Scotland were regularly transported to London. There, at the Bank of England, they were counted and destroyed. Once a month, an additional car was attached to the Glasgow-London postal train. Inside it were sacks filled with banknotes worth £1 to £5. Formally, this money had already been withdrawn from circulation. In reality, it could still be put back into use without difficulty. One man knew this detail. His name was Bruce Reynolds, 31 years old, owner of an antique shop, with nearly 10 prior convictions for various crimes. It was in prison that Reynolds learned exactly how the old banknotes were transported and why this train was the perfect target. He did not hurry. He spent years shaping the plan, selecting people, building a team, not for an attack, but for an operation. His closest partner was an old associate, Douglas Buddy. In total, 15 men were recruited for the robbery. Each knew his role in advance. The plan relied not on force, but on routine, habit, and discipline. The train had to stop by itself. To achieve this, the gang interfered with the railway signalling system near Bridego Bridge in Buckinghamshire. The green signal was disabled. Red and yellow were imitated using handheld lanterns. For the driver, this was a standard danger signal. He had no choice but to respond. No noise, no gunfire, precise timing and calculation. On August 7, 1963, at 6:50 p.m., the postal train left Glasgow Central Station. 12 cars, 72 postal workers, and one additional car filled with money. At 3:03 a.m., the plan was set in motion. At 3:25 a.m., the train approached the signal. The green light disappeared. The red light came on. The train began to brake. The assistant driver stepped off the locomotive to use the trackside telephone, but the wires were already cut. The attackers moved instantly. Driver Jack Mills was struck on the head with the blunt end of an axe. He survived, but was seriously injured. According to the plan, another gang member, a former railway worker, was supposed to drive the locomotive, but he panicked. Reynolds then forced the wounded Mills to move the locomotive and 2 cars to Bridego Bridge, where the rest of the gang was waiting. The guards inside the money car did not immediately realize they were being robbed. They had not locked the doors. They were tied up, and the sacks were carried out. 120 sacks, more than £2,600,000 sterling. A truck was already waiting. Within minutes, the money was transferred. The gang disappeared into the night in 2 vehicles with false license plates. Their base was Leatherslade Farm, rented in advance by Reynolds. According to the plan, the robbers were to hide there for several weeks, posing as agricultural workers. But the police launched a nationwide manhunt. The news was broadcast on the radio. The gang left the farm earlier than planned, and that became the fatal mistake. When police searched the farm, they found a game board. Fingerprints were left on it, all of them already in police records. That is how the identities of every participant were revealed. The trial began in January 1964. It lasted 51 days. Hundreds of pieces of evidence were examined. Hundreds of witnesses were questioned. 7 participants received sentences of 30 years in prison. Part of the money was never recovered. Later, there were daring prison escapes. The most famous was Ronnie Biggs, who lived abroad in hiding for years. The Great Train Robbery became a legend not because of the amount of money stolen, but because it was a story about the collision between human intelligence and routine, between the mind and the system. And it proved a simple truth: the most reliable mechanisms fail where everyone has grown too accustomed to order.